Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to another episode of The Daily Prompt. My name is Jeff Ballo. I'm here to help you get where you're trying to go as I build an independent film studio that helps writers write not just for the page, but ultimately for production. If you're new here, or if you've just sort of started watching this week, we've been talking this week a lot about sort of the strategy and the approach and the philosophy and the mindset about how we're going to get where we're trying to go. I've noticed that in the comments, a lot of people are talking about, writing low budget, writing short films. I'm not suggesting that we need to write low budget stuff. What I'm suggesting is that if you want to aim for the top, in order to actually get to the top, we have to think strategically about how we're going to get there. And it's my contention that if we focus on, if we start by creating low budget material, we start by creating things that are more accessible to pretty much anyone, anywhere today. If we focus on that, then we can strategically build the path to get where the ultimate goal actually is. So what I want to talk about in today's session is the invisible opportunities that are pretty much all around us. Now, before I jump into the idea of invisible opportunities, what am I talking about here? By definition, an opportunity is a very narrow moment in time. An opportunity is something that is going to have a short window in which you can take advantage of it. It's something that you'll be able to do that will get you exponentially further, faster to whatever it is that your goal is. An opportunity is something that helps you get further along. So when we talk about invisible opportunities, once we start thinking strategically about how we're going to get where we're trying to go, it's important to start focusing our minds on what are things that I can do that are going to help me leapfrog to that point. That's going to be the most strategic way to go about it. Let me give you a couple of examples related to all of this, so that hopefully then you can apply them in whatever way that you want to. If, in fact, I'm setting out, as I've suggested so far, to build an independent film studio that makes multiple films each year, I mean, we're talking scores of films is the initial target, and then ultimately hundreds of films perhaps later on, if I can build what I've set out to build, because it's partly a training experience and it's partly taking advantage of the opportunities that we have at the moment. And I firmly believe that everyone's got unique stories to tell, so we should go out and tell those stories. Now, if in fact that is my aim, if you think I'm capable of actually achieving that, then wouldn't you say that there's a lot of opportunity around this moment right here? If you were, for example, a camera person, and you found out that I was trying to build this independent film studio, once I build that independent film studio, isn't there a lot of opportunity there to be the camera person? And if there is opportunity there to be the camera person, mightn't it be a good idea to perhaps reach out at this point and see if you could help me here? Now, I know this is going to sound a little self-serving, but I'm using this as an example to help you sort of pinpoint your own vision, so you can start to see the invisible opportunities in whatever path you're going to take. Again, whether you join me or not. But if you imagine a cameraman going, I could ultimately shoot perhaps dozens of films. Now, if you don't think I'm actually capable of achieving that, obviously you don't want to reach out. You don't want to offer your help because you don't think it's actually going to go anywhere. Why waste that time? Unless you need experience. And if you need experience, then maybe even if it doesn't go anywhere, it's still good for your reel. It's still good for all that, right? Same thing goes if you were an editor or if you were a graphic artist. We know that I'm going to try to build my social media profile, which has been anemic for the past decade. I created all the accounts and then never actually did anything with it, simply because I've been too focused on building the system. Now it's time to go into the social media. So if you were interested in social media, maybe you're interested in designing movie posters, hey, wouldn't it be a good idea to get into this train? If you were interested in, if you actually believe that I could achieve those things. Now, If you're a writer, who is sort of the primary audience that I'm talking to here, how could you take advantage? What's the invisible opportunity in that? Well, do you know a camera person? Do you know an editor? Do you know graphic design people? If you're a writer, perhaps you'd want to volunteer to write or help me write or work with me to write blog posts for LinkedIn or for social media accounts, or put out other content for the writing community in written word form. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone should reach out and do that. And I certainly am not trying to suggest that you should reach out and do all this work for me for free. But what I'm suggesting is that for every person who has a goal or an ambition of some sort, whatever that goal or ambition is that you have, within that ambition are invisible opportunities. Opportunities that are not going to exist for very long. If in fact I build what I build, right? If in fact this takes off and people go, wow, this is cool. Next week, when we start getting into the detail of it, into the actual story development stuff that people are craving, once we get into that, then, we get to the point where other people are going to interested in jumping on board really quickly. And if they do that, what happens is that window closes. What happens is then the opportunity no longer exists. If I end up building what I'm setting out to build and what I'm simply not going to quit until I build, if I end up building that, someone's going to look at this video a year from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, however long it takes, I don't know. They're going to look at this video and they're going to think, oh man, I wish I was here watching this on day one, because that was when the opportunity was available. So once that starts to scale, once we start making the productions, the camera jobs are going to get slotted in. The editing jobs are going to get slotted in. If you're a musician, we're already going to be using musicians, right? But now you have the opportunity because you can see what it potentially could become. Now, a lot of people are writers, creative types, everybody, super resistant to doing work for free. And you know what? If you don't want to, it's okay. If you're further along in your career, that's fine. Don't do that kind of a thing. But there's enormous benefit in seeing the kinds of opportunities that involve a little bit of outlay up front that will ultimately help you long term. So when it comes to writing, one of the things that I want to do with this channel and with building an audience here is ultimately we're going to start making all sorts of content, not just this educational me talking to you content. Remember, this backdrop is only this backdrop until this starts to grow. We're literally on episode, 12 or 13 or something like that. We're so early in the process that what you see today, this is just establishing the framework. This is establishing the context. Where we go to from here is once the framework is there, we have a team, we can come and go start shooting stuff outside of this spot. Then ultimately what we're going to do is take these episodes on the road. I'm going to start teaching from in the field. Once we start making stuff, I'm going to be doing the daily prompt from the set or from the post-production house or from somebody's room with an editing thing on their Mac Pro, because that's where we're editing the initial low budget stuff, right? So as I take you through this journey, we go out of this as soon as we can, right? We move on as soon as we can. And as soon as we start moving on, as soon as people start to jump in and fill that because they see the opportunity, then those windows close, then those opportunities close. And people in the future are going to look back and wish that they were in the position that you're in if you're watching this on, as it's being rolled out initially. So, okay, so that's about me. That's a sort of veiled request for help from editors and camera people and sound people and music people and social media people and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and admittedly so. But don't let, again, when I'm talking about what I'm doing and what I need and my system and all that, don't let that shut your mind off from the opportunity here, from the deeper message, from the larger purpose of what this really is saying to you. And what this is saying to you is that whatever you've set out to achieve, whatever goal you have for yourself, whatever ambition, whatever target, if you think back to what we've been doing these past 2 weeks, and you think back to setting that vision, having that incentive to push you through the challenges, identifying what you want and getting it out of your head, putting it on the page so that you can then start to interact with reality and make something happen. If you think about all that and you start thinking strategically about it, well, maybe I've been aiming for the top the whole time. What if we think strategically about how we're going to get to the top? Then start thinking about what the invisible opportunity is for you. It may not be helping me out. You might not be able to. By the time you reach out, it may be full. I don't know. If that's the case, what about in your local community? What about the filmmakers around you? What about the people who have that tenacity and that nous and that grist, and they're going to make it happen? Maybe they're making crappy low budget YouTube videos right now. Maybe they're making short films. Reach out to them. Who knows? Are they going to be in a position to try to make a little indie feature? They're going to start watching this show and go, "This guy's great. Oh, I see. I understand. Oh, let's go out and make our own little film. Let's follow his path to distribution." If you can start to see that in other people, not just me, but in other people, you can start to see where you can put your energies. Do you understand? So whatever the passion is that you're trying to build, writing screenplays, the 10,000 hour rule, is going to take a lot of time and energy. Are you're worried if you're going to write some LinkedIn stuff for somebody that you are actually developing the writing craft, maybe not the specifically screenwriting craft, but if we're talking about writing articles about story, about production, about this whole venture, is there any value in that? Now, that's me. But if you have to start looking for the invisible opportunity wherever you are with relation to whatever you're trying to achieve. So that cough, it's this dry cough, and it's killing me. It's going away, though. I can see it's only going to be here a few more episodes, hopefully. Cross the fingers. If you can see what I'm saying and the opportunities that no one is going to show you invisible opportunities. By definition, they're invisible. By definition, they're opportunities. They're a narrow window of time. You have to pounce on it. You have to pounce on it when you see it, when you spot it. And if you spot an invisible opportunity, chances are nobody else is seeing it. Nobody else is looking at it. You have a disproportionately large potential to actually take advantage of it, to actually connect with that and make that happen. So if you're in the early days of this series, comment on the comments. I'm here. Read through the comments. I'm responding in depth to questions in the comments. I'm giving as much as I possibly can. Why? To demonstrate to you, A, that I know what I'm talking about, B, that I can help you get where you're trying to go, and C, that I'm genuine, that I'm here to try to help you get where you're trying to go. That's a window that is going to close, not because I'll stop caring, but simply because I'll be too busy to focus on that side of things. Right now, I'm focused on it because we're trying to build it, because that's how you kickstart things. That's how you bootstrap yourself. That's how you move forward. So today's prompt is simple. I want you to take a look at whatever your goal or your ambition or your vision or whatever it is that you have in your head. Does it actually mean something to you? Does it actually fire you up? Are you passionate about it? If you are not, you got to go back and watch the earlier videos and get passionate about it. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're never going to sort of extend yourself into that realm of helping someone out because there's a larger play at work. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to do the things that go above and beyond. It's just not going to be in you. You're going to feel like, he's taking advantage of me, or I don't do that stuff for free. And it's like, okay, I'm not asking anyone to do anything they don't want to do. What I'm suggesting is that if we're going to think strategically about how to take this dream, the idea in your head, and we're going to make it real, in order to actually make it real, we have to think strategically. If we're going to think strategically, we have to start looking for invisible opportunities that will get us where we want to go. If I was just starting over as a young kid trying to make it in the industry, I would be volunteering to help as many people as I could afford to, right? As long as the roof is over my head, as long as I got some food in my mouth, I'm going to help as many people out as I can. If you're a graphic designer, you want to create a big ad agency someday. You want to, whatever it is that you want to do, you have to be willing to go that extra mile, because you're going to spread the goodwill, you're going to spread the love, you're going to build your resume and your credentials, you're going to have that to be able to show to other people. And so it's not a money situation. It's really not about asking for something for free. It's really about saying, can you recognize opportunity that's in front of you? And do you believe in the person that you're seeing as a potential opportunity? So there's a number of things to consider there, the number of things to weigh up, and it really ultimately is subjective. You have to decide what you think is in your best interests. But what today's prompt is to look at that goal, to look at that ambition, to look at whatever target you're aiming for. We've already talked about strategy, we've already talked about how to map it out and actually get to where you're trying to go. If you see it as something that's actually viable, you can get there, then start to notice on that road, what are the invisible opportunities? See them, identify them, recognize them. Understand that you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Not just talking about with me, I'm talking about anywhere. Because if you want to get where you're trying to go, you're going to have to do things that are going to get you where you're trying to go, to build your skills, build your talents, build your network, and actually make it real. So, again, this is not just about come work for me or help me out. This is identify the invisible opportunities. It may be almost impossible to see the opportunity with this series if you're watching this as I'm rolling these out each day. It may be impossible to see. A year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, as you look back on it, then you start to see the whole opportunity. And at that point, it's gone. So that's the difference between the opportunity and the invisible opportunity. So whatever you decide to do, if you want to reach out to me, hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, send me a direct message, and we'll take it from there. And I'm asking to be contacted that way because we're about to start building up the social media, and I want to become very engaged on the social media to try to help writers along the way and actually build that community. So, try to hit me up there or make a comment on this video here somewhere. But I'm still going to ask you, if you want to actually connect, I'm going to ask you to go somewhere there. If you have no interest in connecting with me, or if you've missed the window, whatever, figure out for yourself what that is, who that is. I guarantee you there are people that need that help, that need your skills, whatever it is you can do. Even think outside the box. It doesn't even have to be writing. It doesn't even have to be graphic design. It can be whatever your hobby is. You're a whittler? Offer to whittle some piece of wood for somebody for a prop in a movie. I don't know. Think outside the box. Figure out those invisible opportunities. Find them, identify them, and then take action and reach out and do them. Connect with them. Make those things happen. That's today's Daily Prompt. Thanks for watching. We've got a really good one tomorrow. See you then.